My friends, thanks so much for joining me on another episode of RC Construction Hobby. In today's episode, we will be taking this Kabolite 336 GC apart and showing you how to fix and repair it. This video is a step-by-step on how to disassemble the 336 and give you details on what each component does. This video is sponsored by our friends over at XtreemRC. They were kind enough to send one of these machines over to take apart. Now, if you're looking for a 336 yourself or any of the Huina products, they will be able to help you out. Now, they also do free repairs for those first 12 months under warranty. So please go check them out. There's a link in the description. And without further ado, let's get right into it. Well, there you have it. That's the inside. I'm going to show you how to get in here and take this all apart. Enjoy the video. And before we decide to disassemble the 336 GC, we want to make sure we get a container that we can put all our screws in, all our pieces, so we don't lose track of where they are. This multi-stage container here, we can put different screws in different locations so we know the order of where we took it apart. It's also a good idea too to take pictures so that you can remember exactly where you took those screws out from, or just follow this video and you'll know exactly where they are. Alright, so we're at the back of the machine and we want to take the cab part off, this top piece. Okay, so to take all of this off, there's a few screws you're going to have to remove, namely these two. There's another one further up front here. There's also another one right over here. Okay, so to get these ones out, the way I have this is my tracks are hanging off just a bit so I can fit my Allen key here. Other ones, you want to make sure that the cab is not directly over the tracks. So get your controller and move it so that you're offset, and now you have access to get to it. Okay, and there we go. And unscrew it. Okay, same thing for this. This one's going to be tough. So if you have one of those Allen keys that have that kind of rounded head, you can get into this one a little bit better. But this one here, we'll have to turn the cab a little bit and you can get into it and then screw that one. And luckily, the next one is right over here. Okay, get that one out, and that's it for the cab side. So from the driver's side down, you'll look, you'll see one there, and then the other one's over there, these two. And then once we go to the other side, you're gonna have another two. There we go. There's one right here, and then there's another one right there. Okay, and that's all the screws you need to take to remove this off. Okay, and then we'll show how to get that guy off. This screw here, don't touch, because it's to hold with the magnet. Okay, that's what the magnet does. And remember, once we've removed the screws, take this oil cap off, remove the cap. Also keep in mind this guy, you're gonna have to twist him off. So as you take the body, okay, take the body off and turn it, and that will pop off. And then be careful, there's a bunch of connections back here, electrical connections. Okay, so you want to make sure you watch out for those as well. And that's how you take the cab off. Now we'll get into the meat and potatoes of the inside. Alright, the moment of truth, taking off the top. So make sure you take off the cap for your oil. You've got all your screws removed from underneath, and then all we got to do is pop this off and twist it off here at the front. Don't lift it too high because there are wires here that are still connected. We got to take off this guy over here. Okay, and once you pop that off, you'll notice this is a hooked on piece. Okay, so wiggle that thing off, and then you can pull this to the side, and there's the wire to connect to turn it on. Okay, so that's for that switch. So it goes into this little red connector area here. It's a white connector to a red. So you can pop that off to disconnect it. And then the next one beside it is the one for the battery. Okay, so there's a little tab here. You pull it up and then remove this, and you should be completely disconnected, and we can set this aside. All right, next we have your receiver. 8 channels are connected, so the first 3 are for the boom, arm, and stick. 4th one is for spinning, which controls this guy up here, which is the motor for spinning the house. The 5th one is for the pump. The 6th and the 7th are for the tracks. And the 8th is for the lights, which connect to this little guy. Okay, and it runs red and black goes to the cab, and these other 4 go up to the boom lights. Okay, so what we're going to want to do is we're going to want to remove these 3. And what I've done is I've labeled each of the servos. So servo number 2, servo number 1, servo number 3, and that corresponds to 1, 2, and 3. Okay, so I'm going to remove these 3 guys. All right, so now what that does is it gives me access to remove this control board. Okay, the other thing that we're going to want to do is you're going to want to disconnect your lights. Okay, because these are going to need to be removed along with the cab. So now that this is free, all right, there's 3 screws that hold this in place. And one thing that I kind of wanted to make sure you see before we do anything else, if you have a problem with your tracks or just not spinning, okay, it could be that one of these are loose. And I found that this one with mine was like that, okay, and it was not connected properly, which meant it had intermittent ability to have the pump run or this run. So whichever one this is here, I'm assuming this is for one of the tracks, so maybe one of the tracks wasn't working properly. You want to make sure these are on nice and tight, okay, because that's going to cause a problem when you go and use this, and you'll find, why is it not working? It's probably one of these 4 guys is loose. Okay, so make sure that these guys are on right. Okay, so then take these 3 screws off. Okay, and then we can take this board and again label stuff like we labeled here, 1, 2, and 3. We're going to label this 1, 2, 3, and 4, okay, on each connector. So you know when we disconnect this from up here and from these guys, in case we mess them up, we want to keep them in order, we'll know exactly how to do it, okay? So let's get these guys off real quick. 2, and then number 3 here. Go. So now the control board can come off. What we'll do is we'll remove each one of these off the top, okay? And that's how we're gonna do it. Let me just put the camera back here. So what we do, slowly pry them off. What I've done is I've put a dot, that's number 1, and I've labeled these on the sides with number 1. Okay, so number 1 goes to number 1, and so on and so forth. So we can remove this guy, and then we can have access to removing the rest of the parts, including the cab, and which is what we're going to do next, is remove the cab. Now removing the cab's not too hard. It's like all the other things we've done. 2 screws, 1 here and 1 on the other side. Just undo the screws and then pop the cab off. It's that simple. It's actually easier than the Huina because there's nothing in the front holding it down. Is it going to get coming off? Are we done on screen? Okay. There we go. And then this guy. And once you've done that, cab just comes off. Okay. This bottom can come out too, and so can the glass. Okay. And then this guy, you're gonna have to fish him from under here and take him out. And that's it. There's 2 lights up there. The cab door does not open, unfortunately, but with anything. You can mod it. So if you're good enough, cut this out properly, and then you can create some hinges and have an opening door. And yeah, the interior is really nice, to be honest. It's really well done. It's just too bad they didn't do the door, but you can fit one of your brooder guys inside there for sure. So set that aside. And now we can move on to the pump. Now we're going to get into the fun stuff. Taking off the pump and its whole assembly here. So the first part we're going to take off is the pump. Then we're going to take off the block. And then we're going to take off this distribution block here that ties into the hoses. And then the bottom plate will show you exactly what holes do what. It actually has all the fluid from the tank flows underneath into this bottom plate, and then it comes up through this block here, which goes through the valves and then goes through to the hoses. But the pump is what decides what moves and what doesn't, because without the pump, these things doesn't really matter. It'll just let all the fluid out. So let's get into it. There's 4 screws, 2 on this side, 2 on the other. I've already loosened one. Here we go. I'm going to loosen this one and then the other 2, and then the pump should come out easily. There is just one little complication, but hopefully it's not a big deal for you, and that would be taking the hose, or sorry, the wires, fishing them through out here to get it off. Okay, so let's get these last couple guys off. And then I can show you what it looks like. There we go. All 4 screws are out. And then there it is. That's the bottom of the pump. There's a return and ascending hole. Okay. And then you'll want to fish the wire out. As you can see, there's 2 holes there. Okay. One's a send, one's a feed. I'm not sure exactly which one it is, but that doesn't really matter. Then you take your hose out through there, or sorry, your wires out. Okay, so then you can pull the whole thing out and inspect it. That's really the business end there. Those 2 made up with those, and then underneath this flat plate, they come back up, and then these servos here will open or close to let fluid go to the hoses, which in turn make the things move. So there you go. If you're gonna have a leak, you might have one here. There's 2 O-rings, keep that in mind. There's O-rings here. All right, and there's also O-rings we'll show later inside this block here for each of the valves. There's O-rings, so we got to be very careful with those. And yeah, there we go. Okay, now that we've removed the pump from here, we want to take off this valve assembly, okay? So what's important about this is there's 2 pieces here. There's this plate in the middle, and then there's this valve block right here. So this is what the servos will turn and then make fluid move across. So if the pump will pump into this assembly here, and then these valves will open or close to let fluid through. So we have to remove these. There's 4 screws on the top and 4 screws on the bottom. They are different lengths. The lengths are like that. The bottom ones are a little bit longer than the top ones. So remember that when you're gonna go put it back together, the shorter ones go on the top here, and the longer ones go on the bottom. Okay, I'm gonna show you exactly where they are taken out from. All right, so you see there's screws there. So I already took out these other 3 screws, and I left one here and one there just to show where they go. So we'll remove those last 2, but essentially it's these 4 on the top and these 4 on the bottom that need to come out. Alright, so make sure you remember how this comes off. Little screws to the outside, this guy the way he is. Okay, when we take this off, you'll see it's going to be coated in oil, which is fine. Okay. Those are the valves right there. Make sure there's O-rings here. Do not lose these. If you lose these, well then, good luck. There's O-rings that I guess you're going to have to buy. But in any case, make sure you do not lose these O-rings. This is what mates up to it, okay? So you're going to have a little thin coating of oil on these guys. Make sure everything is clean, okay? Sure we clean all our surfaces. If there's going to be any leaks, it's going to be all around here, around this side, or along here. Okay? So that's how you take this valve block apart. When you put it back on, same way. Short screws on top, long screws on the bottom. Alright, now it's time to remove this little beauty. So if you're going to have some oil leaks, typically they'll come from one of these guys, anywhere along the boom or arm or the stick. But if there's nothing there and you see oil around here, there might be oil somewhere around this plate here, okay? So we just took off the pump around here, okay? And again, this is where the valve block connects to, so we want to make sure this is very clean. Take a look, is there any scratches, any cuts? And also look around this plate here. Okay, this plate, there could be oil coming from there as well, so that can be taken off after we take this guy off. Next, we're going to remove this piece here. And this is what connects the valve block, and then from this side is the pump. And then all the fluids go into this assembly here through the hoses into the different cylinders. So we want to check this. A good area to look at if you're getting any leaks, again, is from all these different connections here, or around this perimeter, okay, where all these screws are, or from underneath here, okay, because there's two holes under here that come into this. So we're going to remove it. There's 4 screws, 2 up top here and then 2 down here. These ones are longer than those, so make sure you keep them separate so you know which ones go where. Let's remove them. Now you notice I only took 3 out. So these ones are the front ones. You'll see it's actually shorter than the other ones that are in the back. Okay? So make sure when you go put them back, there's your difference. Okay? Make sure you put the right ones in the back and the shorter ones in the front. I'm the lucky guy who got a broken screw. When I went to loosen this, it just snapped the head off. So I'll screw this back in. That way I have it threaded down, and that way it's got something to hold up against, and then the other 3 will keep the pressure down. We'll see if it leaks, but again, if there's any leaks, it'll be under here. Now before closing everything up, just want to make sure, test everything, because once you put all the screws back in and you find out something isn't working, it's a real pain to go and take all those screws off again, take the cap off, do all that stuff. If you have the chance now, it's the best time to make sure the pump is working, all the servos are working, the rotation works. You only have to move it just a degree or 2, but it's just to make sure everything works. Connect the lights, connect all the wiring, turn on your receiver, and make sure all the functions function. Make sure your tracks move. Everything's got to work before we put this back on, because it's just easier to do it now, so that once you put this on, there's no need to go and test anything. It's just putting the cap on for the oil, and that's it. All right, so just quick, easy little thing to do. Saves you a lot of headache of taking off all those screws again.